welcome back. Tom Zakvea back again for Kult of Athena. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some blade maintenance. As you can see, this Karambit has some topical rust on it that we need to get off of here. That's due to some moisture on the blade, and I'm going to show you a few other blades that we have reviewed before that need maintenance after cutting and all that, and how to get that taken care of. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to start with this Devil's Edge Talon Karambit. You can see it's got brown on it. I already cleaned the other side using this Hanwei sword oil that we have here at Kult of Athena. Just spray it on, and that'll definitely help a lot with any type of corrosion. Not necessarily pitting. If a blade is pitted, it means it hasn't been taken care of too well. It's been kind of used and then abused and kind of left alone. So as you can see, this side has not been done. The other side, the Damascus, has not been messed up at all. So what we're going to do, we're going to come down to the table. I'm going to move the sheath out of the way. Here's what we need. We need some abrasion pads. The grit different is, the really light grit is like 280. You can see there's like no real grit on it. It's really just for like finishing touches. 100 grit and like 220s, you're gonna get more of a pull on it. You can see that these are obviously used from other maintenance I've done on blades, but those really do the job. So we're actually just gonna start with a little bit of a roughed up 220. So all we need, take some of the Hanwei sword oil, one spray, plenty right there. And we're just going to very lightly distribute it. And if you need to, you can see it's already being lifted off of there from the moisture of the sword oil. It's pulling it off. And we take a rag, maybe an old t-shirt, and we very carefully wipe it off. A rule of thumb, no pun intended on this, but I like to do this, kind of like a Spider-Man type of thing when I'm wiping these off, because you don't want to use your thumb as primary pressure, because you don't know how much fabric is behind here. So you don't want to do something like this and pull your thumb through it, especially when we're working with longer blades, such as like a katana, which can be very sharp. So you can see that little area where I sprayed, it's already coming up quite well. So what I'm going to do now is do a little bit more. There we go. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. Notice that I'm being very mindful that there is a back edge to this. It's a very thin back edge, but still have to be very careful, especially because of the tip on the Karambit. Make sure when you're doing this, when you're doing blade maintenance, the table and any surrounding area that you don't want to get messed up is covered. You can obviously see that I'm in my kitchen right now, so I don't want to be messing up, getting grease on my table or anything. Alright. Starting to get there. I'm purposely working slower so you can see the process of the sword oil and how well it's doing. Now we're going to go to a little bit heavier of a grit to get this done. I'm going to set this down. And again, just as a rule, guiding rule for safety, make sure that you use your left hand to keep that braced. We could really start working into it, into the corners. if you have like a tool shop or like something set up in your garage, you can always clamp this with a vise. That's also very secure. Just be careful which way you point the tip of the weapon when you're doing that. Always keep the tip of the weapon and the edge away from you and from other people, especially when maintenancing a blade. You're not in battle, so make sure that you're very mindful with that. Alright, so you can see the Damascus is not lifted. So that's looking good. And then the other side, I'm just going to take the abrasion pad to it. You can do circles. It's going to depend entirely what you want. This is just a general maintenance to make sure there's no pitting on it. Okay, so the sword oil is what I recommend for the actual cleaning of it. So when we're actually looking at removing rust and things like that, I would go with the Hanwei sword oil. The link for this for the sword maintenance will be in the description below this video. And now for actual, you know, if you're storing these blades, just keep in mind this comes with a leather sheath. So if you are in like an area that has a lot of moisture, you don't really want to leave these in the sheath for too long, because the moisture can get locked into here, and then you got corrosion inside of the sheath, and that's not good. So we want to just kind of negate that by taking a little bit extra precaution here. So this Renaissance wax, this is good for leather. This is good for all different types of steel. And this is used to preserve blades. So they use it to, you know, do like leather work and all that. So it's also available at Kult of Athena. It's like a thin, waxy film. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a separate piece of cloth and take a tiny amount. Literally just going to rub this a few times. You get a lot out of it, as you can see, the shimmering on it. And all we're going to do, I'm going to lay it down that way you can see it. We're just going to rub a thin film on it, being very careful that these are edged weapons. Alright, sometimes when I'm going very slow, I'll put it on the actual edge itself to preserve the edge. That's what Renaissance wax is doing, is preserving this weapon here. Never pressing down into the edge. I don't care if it's slightly sharp. You never want your fingers to slip when you're doing this. Sometimes some of the guys at Kult of Athena who clean blades, you know, some blemished ones and things of their own collection, they'll have Kevlar gloves on just because we want to take all the necessary safety precautions that we can when we're doing this. And you can see it looks like there's nothing on there, but it leaves like a waxy coating. So then when you store this, or when you're in like a climate that has a lot of moisture in it, like I said before, like a swampy environment, or you're planning on using this, this will really help. And then we're going to throw this back into the sheath here. Snap it shut. And this one is done. Alright, so now that we did the Karambits, now we have two of my personal carry knives, the Spyderco Enduro and the Spyderco Delica. You can see there's a lot of tape marks on them. Some topical corrosion. So now we're going to clean these. I'm going to start with the Enduro. You'll notice that all that is just on top. There's no pitting to it. So this should take no more than like a minute or so. I am going to put the Hanwei oil just on here, just because I don't want to spray the table. I like my table how it is. I want to keep it that way. I'm sure you guys do too. So when I'm doing this, I'm keeping the edge away from me. I'm never going to be doing this because you never know when your finger is going to move or your wrist is going to turn. So you can do it like this, or you can switch it. Notice that the Hanwei oil is on there. You can rub away from it. Sometimes these are in my pockets for so long that I forget to clean them. I look at them, and Spyderco definitely makes a really good folder. I've had this one for about 2.5 years now, maybe longer, and the lock is really nice on it. It's a really tough folder. So you can see that did a lot already, and all I did was just rub it. Rub the oil on there. Alright, and then just for good measure, to keep the same formula, I'm going to take the 100 grit. And very carefully start to make this look a lot better. So you'll see that did a lot already. And then we gotta do the other side. What I like to do personally with the folding knife, because it has a lock to it, it's not a fixed blade. Sometimes with the Spydercos, I'll put my forefinger in here. That way you're not pushing down on the lock and depressing it. And it also stabilizes the grip. Cool. So that one's done. Can leave that guy right here. And then the next one for the Delica, which is a little bit of a smaller model. See, it's about a palm length. It's got tape marks on it as well. I like to use my knives as much as I can every day. That's why I carry a knife, right? To use it for daily tasks. Some people say a dog is a man's best friend, but I think a knife is. I think they've been companions longer. Okay, on the other side, just put some more on here. Sometimes that tape, the adhesive gets stuck on here. So we just have to make sure we get that off. So I'd recommend an abrasion pad, or if you have like Brillo pads at home, like the ones at like Home Depot or whatever like local hardware store you have. Don't get the ones with the detergent in them, like the cleaning ones, because I don't want you to like stain or mess up your blades. I did that a long time ago with a TFW weapon, and didn't turn out very well. I had a lot of work to do on that. Cool, so this one's done. So there's how you maintenance some folders. Nice and shiny, ready for some more work. And again, this is the Enduro, a little bit longer of a model. And then the Delica as well. This one's a little bit shorter.